Morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're watching Hornets. Welcome along to WD18, the Watford fan channel for your Plymouth debrief. I was going to go Plymouth post-mortem just for the alliteration, but just because it did kind of feel a little bit like a defeat at home park on Friday night with Andre Gray scoring two, snatching all 3 points at the death against Watford. It did finish Plymouth 2, Watford 2 on Friday night. We've had a couple of days to digest it, a couple of days to process it. And we're going to be discussing all of it here today. As always, we're brought to you in partnership with Hertfordshire Mind. Today's show is with Charlie Zazera, who is eagerly... Do you know what? The title, the real reason why Watford... it was actually from Charlie. So, Charlie, why did you want to go with that title? Because it's quite a punchy title. I feel like I'm going to learn something today with you.
Yeah, because I feel like the narrative is all about... I think, like Ben said, the person who shouldn't be named that you've already named. But I think there's another reason that we didn't win the game. I don't know about you guys. Obviously, it's good to get Harry on, someone who was actually there. That's probably the angriest I've been after a Watford game this season.
Oh, really?
Just because, I don't know, the way we played and how it ended, and you could just see it coming a mile off. It was so frustrating. I thought if we got that 3 points, we spoke in the week, didn't we? And we said, if we got 3 points to start on Friday, going into 2 home games, it'd be massive. But yeah, I was absolutely fuming. We were going to potentially do a video straight after if we got a positive result, but I was like, nah.
Just before we introduce our guest on today's show, Charlie, what does angry Charlie Zazera look like after a Watford's? I'm not obviously. Again, it feels a little bit like a defeat just because we were so close to the win. But what did that involve that you can tell us?
Just resting bitch face, miserable, like silence. Don't speak to me.
Blimey. Harry, who was actually there on Friday night. Now, Harry, unbelievably, has only just got back to make the stream. That's commitment. That's brought to you here on a Sunday night on WD18. Harry Welch joined us on the show for his second appearance, I think, of the season. Harry, first off, mate, how you getting on? How's life? You looking well?
Thank you, mate. Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. Same old, really. Nothing's really changed. Just I've been a bit more happy this season than I was last season, must admit. There you go. And do you know what? I don't know who's mentioned it, right? But I haven't actually been wearing the flat caps game recently, right? I'm sure a lot of you have noticed.
Yeah.
So we're doing quite well since that's stopped. So I'm keeping that up for a bit. But when it rains, I might get it out. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, at the minute, I didn't have it on Friday. I thought we did. I did, but no. So at the minute, that's stayed away, the flat caps.
Harry, we're going to ask you about that whole delay after the first goal because Harry was in the away end to sort of talk us through that. But just sort of logistics-wise, Harry, you left on Thursday and you just got back. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I got family up in Devon, so I stayed over for the last day. Yeah, obviously went up Thursday night, stayed over the weekend, yeah. And then getting back today, there was like absolute nightmare with trains and stuff, obviously because of the weather. So got back a bit later than I would like to. So it's would have been a bit nicer if we won, right? But yeah, I'm here now, and it's sort of kind of a weekend to forget, I guess. But yeah.
And a sneaky picture with the gaffer, Tom Cleverley, pre-match.
Yeah, because I was on my way to the ground fairly early, and the coach was coming in as I was walking past. I thought, do you know what? I'm gonna get a picture with Clevs if I can. So I did, and that was That's
what was the play, Harry? How did you approach it?
Just shouted, Clevs, can I have a picture,
please? He would have come to you if he saw the flat cap.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's it. That just says all the best. Yeah, he was good. He was sweet. He keeps himself to himself, doesn't he? But yeah, he was good about it. It's fine.
Two handsome men. So we'll get into that. It did finish, obviously, Plymouth 2, Watford 2. A couple bits of housekeeping before we get into today's podcast and stream. Please do leave a like on the video. Drop us a 5-star review if you're listening on audio. Subscribe to WD18. Comment down below your thoughts as always. As always, as I said at the top of the show, this video is brought to you in partnership with Hertfordshire Mind. A couple of bits of news from their end. They've got an Indian Sizzler night at Hertfordshire Mind on January the 27th. You can buy tickets through the link in the description below. Also, with 2 goals on Friday night, that means £2 each from myself, Sam and Charlie into the donation pot for Hearts Mind for £1 for every goal Watford scores. So that's gone up as well. And please feel free to join us on that as well. The link is in the description to that too as well. Okay, let's get into the football, Charlie, and we're going to run through the starting lineup from Watford. I'm going to actually present it because why not? Let's just sort of get an idea of what this Watford team looked like. It was a 3-4-3 that we've come accustomed to under Tom Cleverley, with Batman in goal, back through Porteous, Pollock, James Morris, with Andrews on the right, Larouci on the left, and Sissoko lose as the midfield two, with Barr on the right, Chakvedadze on the left, coming back from the international break, alongside the man who scored on the international break, Vakun Bio as well. Okay, on paper, Charlie, I always ask you this question. That looks like a pretty strong Watford team. Were you happy with it when it came out at 7:00 on Friday?
Yeah, I think so. I think the only person which I'd have liked to have seen was Festi Ebisele. I'm not too sure. Is he scroll down there? Was he on the bench? I know he obviously played for Ireland against England.
Do you have a suspension, Charlie? I think could be wrong, but
he might have been suspended. I didn't know that.
I think he had 5 yards, but that might be wrong.
Tom Cleverley in the stands as well, by the way. Obviously, with his yellow cards, that was an interesting one next to the analyst. No Ebisele though, Charlie. That was probably the one player you would have had in.
I think so, but again, obviously, we'll talk about individuals. But I thought Ryan played well. It's good to see Quadra Barr starting. Obviously, Georgie. We said that Sissoko was going to come in. I'm sure we're going to touch on him in a bit. Playing alongside Loser. And then, Larouci played. So, pretty happy with that.
Yeah, on paper, Harry, I was pretty happy with it. I don't know how much you knew about Plymouth going into this one, Harry, but the obvious one was the man that we didn't want to name, which was Andre Gray. And I have to say, it did. Okay, look, the goals we'll touch on, but it did feel inevitable that he would turn up. I'm trying to think of other Watford players that you've had during your time as a Watford fan where they've come up against us as a former player and you've expected
it's like Kevin Phillips, right? I think that's probably the one we can all relate to. Kevin Phillips. I don't think there's anyone else that's been a bit of a nightmare. I mean, obviously Knockout. I know he's not a former player, but he's always been a bit of a he's like a Knockout and a Zaha. Do you know what I mean? They're players that we have been disliked with.
Tommy Smith at QPR, didn't he?
Gut wrenching that one. Honestly, I remember he didn't celebrate as well, and I just thought, Tommy, what have you done? I'm trying to think who else we've got as well. You can maybe chuck in Marvin Sordell. Didn't really do that well against us. Heider Helgeson, that one killed me. I think he was at QPR at the time. But anyway, it did feel inevitable. I saw a lot of tweets with Watford fans, including Charlie, putting a bet on Andre Gray to score against us because it did feel like it was going to happen, and it did twice. Let's go to that Bio goal and that first half as a whole, though, Harry, to start with.
Yeah.
What happened in that away end with that goal? I mean, it's a great move from Watford. It's worked out to the left-hand side. Watford have really dominated that opening 15 minutes. It's worked out to Larouci with a beautiful ball into that sort of corridor of uncertainty. Bio bundled it home somehow off his knee, off anything. It went in. But from what we heard at home, Harry, it was just silence. What happened?
Well, I think it was, to be honest, it's true. We didn't see it go in, right? And I think what it was is the keeper was covering it. And I think maybe a defender, probably definitely from my angle as well, was covering it as well. So the reaction is that I think there was a bit of a scramble on the line and it kind of like trickled over the line, if that makes sense, when Bio runs to celebrate. Then we look at it at half time, we feel a bit stupid because it's quite clear and obvious, right? So I think that's probably what it was. I think the keeper just probably, because we're obviously at the other end, right? So I think it was difficult to see it go in, which it's crazy. You look at it on the telly, like it's clear and obvious, right? But I don't know how people missed it. I was kind of lower of the away end, so I'm not sure if anyone from the top saw it go in, but by the sounds of it, it didn't. So it was really weird, and it was kind of an anticlimax, really celebrating the goal. Didn't really feel right celebrating it because it didn't feel. It just felt really weird. I felt like we were maybe also waiting for goal line tech to confirm it. I think it was weird.
I don't know about you, Charlie, but I mean, at home, the goal's gone in. I've gone celebrating up to the TV, not kissing the TV, but I'm looking at the TV thinking, has it gone in? I'm looking around. Has it gone in? I mean, it was just bizarre, wasn't it? To be honest, I thought the Sky Sports line had cut.
Mm. Yeah, just a really surreal experience watching a goal and not hearing the noise. Obviously, like with lockdown, we kind of got that, but the fact that we're not back in lockdown, so your brain just programs to wait for the noise. But wasn't it 6 seconds? Like that felt like an absolute age. So yeah,
What did
it
you think
must have
of
been.
the 20 minutes, Charlie, with the goal? Watford were easily the better team, weren't they?
Yeah, we started brilliantly. It was quite an interesting tactical setup because I think Plymouth played with a back three for the first time this season, and I think it didn't really work for them, especially out of position. I think their fullbacks were really high. I think Barley Mumba got booked really early on, and it was kind of our tens. They just didn't know who to pick them up, whether it was the wing back or like the outside centre backs. So yeah, we completely dominated. I can get the momentum bar up, the trusty momentum bar up in a bit, but yeah, we completely dominated the first half. Absolutely battered them. I think I'll kind of go through like some clear chances a bit later on, but yeah, it was a bit of a shame that we didn't capitalise and get one or two more, and then Mr. Gray shinned one in from the jump.
Harry, what was the most pleasing aspect for you on the first half performance as a whole? If we take away that equaliser from it, Watford were the better team. There was probably a 5-minute period, I think, when Plymouth scored, where they had a bit of momentum, and then Watford got a grip of it again. I mean, there's an argument to say, Harry, that was probably our best half of the season, or one of our best halves, or is that too far?
I'll say one of them. Yeah, 100%. I mean, we probably should have got 1-2, to be honest. I think the positive side, we did look really sharp in attack. I think especially that left-hand side, Larousse and Chapfatadze, both on that left, were really good. Probably, I'd say that's probably the best sort of on that side, the sort of the best performance we've seen so far this season, I would say, definitely. Bar again, looking really sharp and strong. I think everyone just looked up for it, which is, we weren't expecting it because, cold Friday night in Plymouth, are the players' heads going to be in it? But they look really up for it that whole half. Like you say, there was that little spell after the Plymouth goal, but yeah, I thought it was a really good half overall.
What was the aspects of it, Charlie? I think Harry's spot on there in terms of one of our best halves. I don't know if I'd put it as our best, but HJ says we played faster, passed it better, looked more direct, which was pleasing to see. Again, I do put a little bit of that down to the Plymouth system. It didn't feel like it suited them, and so it's just to pop it around and move it around. And Watford got a grip of the game, which has been a refreshing change because we have started games away from home pretty poorly. Do you agree with HJ there in terms of the aspects of that performance in the first half being better?
Yeah, definitely. And it's pleasing to see us doing that away from home from the start, which I don't think I can remember, probably back to Mill when I thought we started really well. But I do think a lot of it was down to Plymouth and the guys looking around and going, Jesus, these lot aren't great. Let's have some fun. And it was just that confidence that we saw straight from the off. I think the second half, maybe not the start of the second half, was pretty contrasting. We'll talk about that in a bit. In my head, I thought the first half was like a peak Cleverley team and the second half was like a peak Val team where we were a bit more, okay, let's just sit up, let's just pick our moments, defensively shaped, but there was no kind of directness, urgency, excitement. It was dull and ultimately it cost us, I think. So, yeah, the classic game of two halves. But we saw what the last game was at Plymouth. I think there was 41 shots in total, the 3-3 on New Year's Day. Harry, did you go to that one?
Me and Sam were there. Yeah, we were there.
Yeah. So if you want to go,
I think he got a sneaky picture with Kone, didn't he, that time?
We did. That was it. We got there. I remember we got there like, I don't know why, because it was New Year's Day. We got there like 2 hours before kickoff, like at the stadium as well. We thought, we'll go in, and we got a couple of pictures of players. Yeah, little fanboys we were, but yeah, we thought I might as well be.
He's on the for next season. I hope they stay up just for Harry's collection. I mean, there was a couple of comments here. Stuart said, I mentioned the direct play a couple of games ago. We're definitely mixing up more with a willingness to get it through to Bar quicker. Ben says the biggest talking point was the tactical shift at half time. Maybe Clev's jumped the gun slightly. I'd have kept going as we were until we had a 2-goal cushion. We'll get into that in just a second. I'll leave Charlie I'll give Charlie the opportunity to talk about that. We've started well, Harry. We're in control of the game. We've got that goal. Again, you're kind of feeling like it was one-way traffic at that point. And out of nowhere, ball goes over the top. It's over Morris's shoulder. And Andre Gray has just plucked a strike into the bottom left-hand corner. And one that Wayne Rooney actually likened to Robin Van Persie's volley against
Have
Aston
a day
Villa,
off, Wayne. Jesus.
which I'm not having. And look, look. I think for Andre Gray, we can all agree, having all watched him for a lot, that was probably the one time he'll hit a ball like that in his career. I just get, is it fair to say that just came against the run of play, Harry? And in the way, and did it feel like, number one, they were stunned that Andre Gray had scored it, but number two, that the goal just came out of nowhere?
Yeah, it was one of those came out of nowhere. I don't think it was, say it was a ball over the top. We switched off, and I mean, yeah, fair play to him. It was a good finish. Could Batman have done better? Maybe. I mean,
Why do you think that, Harry?
I mean, we'll go on to the second goal as well. There was where, could both goals be prevented? I mean, I don't know. Maybe because he wasn't expecting it as well. You could have that argument, but I feel like I don't know. To be honest, I haven't seen how far he's put it into the corner, but I don't know. From you look at it from where I was sitting, I feel like he should have really done a bit better. But,
okay, so let's delve into that. Charlie, could that goal have been prevented? Because we have to admit, it's a ball over the top. Gray's hit it. Batman's rooted. Now, the first thing I saw on Twitter were people saying, should he have dived for it at least? Should Watford have got a bit tighter to the first pass? Should Gray have been maybe had as much space as he did? Or are we being hypercritical? And sometimes you've got to hold your hands up and say, that's a great goal and there's not a lot you can do about it.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards that one for the first goal. Interestingly, actually, that the first goal had a higher XG than the second one. It was 0.07 and the second goal was 0.04. Now, for me, I'm leaning towards it's just one of those. It's written in the stars. Like, could James have gotten closer and not let it bounce? But I just think it's one of those things. And like, one thing about Andre Gray, which makes me laugh, if you put a collection of all of his goals, and he scored some good ones, but he's never hit it cleanly. And I don't think he hit the first one cleanly. It's like come off his ankle bone and kind of just gone in the right direction. I think the second one he hits a lot cleaner, but the amount of goals I remember he scored for us, Burnley away, I think like great move, comes off his shin. Crystal Palace, like a left foot swinger in the quarterfinal FA Cup. Yeah, he scores good goals, but like they're just not clean. They're kind of scuffed. So I don't know if he's fair play to him. But yeah, I just think one of those ones, it was like, yeah, take your hat off to him. I suppose good finish, but I just think that was the footballing gods looking down on us, going, you've had too good of a season so far, and I think that just gave them a bit more confidence. And we saw kind of on the momentum they made a few chances briefly. I think Morgan Whittaker had a good strike, but after that, I thought we responded really, really well.
Yeah, I don't know about you lads. When a goal goes in, I normally have something to say after it goes in, but I was genuinely speechless when that goal went in, mainly because I felt that Watford were in control of the game at that point, but also the fact that it was Andre Gray. I think one thing I will say about Andre, and fair play to him, because look, the Watford fans have given him a bit, he's given it back. That's the game of the game, really. But I felt like maybe, and this is what I learned from his time at Watford, I felt like he was at his best when he didn't have to make a decision. And what I mean by that is, in that situation, he's only got one option, really. He's going to have a strike. Even with the second goal, we only had one option. It's the last kick of the game. He's going to have a strike. And I remember at Watford, when he didn't have loads of options, whether it was a pass or a shot, he was actually quite good because his mind was made up for him. And he'd normally commit to that option. It just felt like it was one of those situations where you could write it, really, because it is Watford. I did see a great comment, though, from someone who said, given Andre Gray's contribution on Friday, I do hope that Isaac's success ain't coming back to the Championship anytime soon. And I guess it begs the question, Harry, if you had to put a prediction on the next player to come back and haunt Watford, who do you think it will be and why?
That's a hell of a question, that.
And Charlie, anyone in the comments, who's your prediction for the next player to come and haunt us?
In my head, I was thinking, what club would Isaac's success go to? And I immediately went to Sheffield Wednesday.
they all of our rejects, don't they? Well, actually, no. I say they've had some good players off us as well, but yeah, they've had a lot of them.
Oh, goodness me! That's
and Harry, were you singing after we equalised any Andre Gray related songs?
No comment. Yeah.
I was shaking my head when I heard that. I was like, don't, please.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it was easy because he was literally right when he was when their corners, he was on the near post, so it was very easy to shout at him. Very easy.
Ben did he triple checked the replay and it doesn't come off Andre Gray's shin apparently, Charlie. So we've had a few shouts of ex-Watford players to come and haunt us. Jefferson,
certainly not Van Persie. Sorry.
Yeah. Theo says Rivich leaving and then scoring against us. John said Ismail Assar. I like this one though. Ray Manai coming back to haunt Watford. Gareth's gone with Stipe Perizza. The lovely shout to their real Watford heritage. Look, at that point, Charlie, Andre Gray's pull one back. We've gone into half time at 1-1. Were you slightly frustrated?
No, we didn't.
Sorry, yeah, we didn't, did we? Goodness gracious. We replied very, very well. I completely forgot about a set-piece routine. And a set-piece routine, Charlie, that was well worked. I mean, look, we haven't been blessed with set pieces over the years, particularly from corners. I think our corners are one of the least effective in the Championship. It's a nice ball clipped in from Loser. Pollock getting there at the back post across to Porteous. He does the rest. And just one of the quite a Championship goal, but you take them and it's well worked. You must be buzzing with that.
It is a Championship goal. It really is. Nice little subtle block from James Morris as well, just to try and give Pollock the space. I do think we are trying to target Matty at set pieces, which is the right thing to do, but just our delivery is just not good enough. And I think that's probably one of Georgie's. We always I think we do a left foot in swinger and a right foot in swinger. And I don't think Georgie's corners are the best. But yeah, on this one, it worked well around the back post. Matty got a good contact to knock it back into Porto, who done the rest. His 7th goal for Watford. He chips in, doesn't he? 2
goals already for him this season. Pollock's got 2 to his name as well. Stuart did say, isn't Robbo in charge of set pieces now? Which I think definitely from a defensive point of view, I don't know attacking wise. I might have to drop Robbo a message to see if he's going to take the credit for it. What they should have done is Sky and panned over to him when the goal went in. There was a great delivery from Imran, says Ben. He actually celebrated too. Is he back? That's a question. Harry, individuals wise, before we touch on that second half, again, a really well worked set piece from Watford. Who stood out for you on Friday night and who didn't across the board?
I'd say Larousse was probably the strongest, I'd say, just of his work down that left. In terms of who didn't, I thought Musa did okay, but there was a lot of things where there was times where, I don't know, he went down from a knock and stayed down when Plymouth on the attack, little things like that, which, I don't quite like, especially since he got up straight afterwards. I know there's times to manage the game, but when we're 2-1 up in the 55th minute or whatever, there's time for it. But
are you team Musa or not, Harry? Because I do think that is a huge conversation. And
yeah, no, I'm team Musa, but that sort of stuff, you know what I'm like with that sort of stuff. You put an end to
it. Get it gone from football. Yeah, I mean, Sissoko's a fascinating one, Charlie. What I will say is that he came back into the team and he did look really leggy, I thought, in the second half. Yeah. I'm struggling with Musa as someone who plays week in, week out, and that's not technically his fault, is what I will say. I think our best midfielder has Deli Bashiru in it. I actually think a midfield 2 of Loser and Deli Bashiru could be quite nice. There was a couple of nice runs from Musa in the second half. The one where he went past a few men, slipped it through to Bayo, who definitely should have done better with that opportunity. He broke the lines a couple of times. I just think it's, for me, Charlie, his positioning is a bit odd for someone maybe. And I have to say, I've completely just remembered now, he was a lucky boy not to give away a penalty at the end of the first half as well. So
has he done it already this season? Stamped on someone after being late?
Sheffield United away. Do you remember just before the break? And he took Callum O'Hare out off the ball, and he was lucky with that one. That's twice now, but he was so late in the tackle. Off the ball, I think, is my issue, Charlie. What about you? Where do you stand on him?
Yeah, I don't see it. And again, maybe I'm more of in possession. I don't really get the out possession stuff. I don't see midfielders running centrally down on midfield and he's just out of position. Obviously, I know he's not the most dynamic, but I think a lot of people, and I've seen other people like non-Watford fans tweet it, but I think he's just okay. Like, I don't think I don't see the hate really. I don't really get it. I think he breaks up play with his physicality really well. Some good driving runs where, again, we should have scored. Bio should have scored when Moose had done a great run. So for his age, I think he's fine. I don't think he's a detriment to the team. I don't really get the hate, to be honest. When I go through kind of the screen grabs, which I'm going to show later, I think there was Loser. There was a lot of missed opportunity where Loser could have been a lot better on the ball. But like I said, I think I'm a lot better in possession than out of possession.
Yeah, I agree.
Have you got examples of when he's out of position that has like cost us?
I don't.
Sorry, calling you out.
Yeah, well, look, what I will say, like, I think, as you say, the hate in inverted commas is over the top. I agree, and I don't think it's to say we're sitting here, hating him at all, because I think Sissoko, what he's given on the ball, has been pretty good. He had a 91% pass completion rate, which was the highest in our team at the weekend. He deserves an assist for that run, as I say, which put through Bio. On the ball isn't my issue with Sissoko. You can tell he's got quality. My issue is sometimes his positioning and just his off the ball work, in terms of when you're in a midfield too. I do feel you'd have to be a lot more disciplined. But look, I thought it was solid on Friday. It's just I personally prefer Dele Bashiru in there rather than Sissoko, and I actually think Duomo's another one who, if we give him more game time, could be a great asset for us. Charlie, Harry, on that, Austin asked a good question here. What do you reckon is our best midfield two, or your preferred midfield two?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I would put Sissoko in there, to be fair, and I would say when he's fit, Dele Bashiru. The thing is with Koembe, I don't know. I mean, I like it. I think he's been coming off the bench. I think came off maybe against Borough. I mean, he did score, but he did look really strong off the bench. I think he added an extra spark to the game, extra spark to that midfield. So it's a difficult one. But yeah, I would say, yeah, Tom Dele Bashiru and Sissoko for me.
Sure, John Armstrong's gone with that as well. Just a couple of comments on Sissoko, because it was this conversation we wanted to get into today. HJ says, I think Sissoko is an easy target due to his age and the season in the Prem with us, plus the Mogi Bayat link with him as well. Rio says Sissoko was never going to be Rodri at the age of 35, was he? He was only supposedly going to be a bit part player anyway. I think that's my key thing with Sissoko is at 35, he shouldn't be playing every single week. I mean, it's just not, you can't expect that of him at this point in his career. But he is definitely an asset for us. Stuart says Sissoko's recovery runs are more like crawls. They are infuriating. Rio says our best midfield two is Sissoko and Tom Dele Bashiru. I do like Loser in a slightly deeper role, Charlie. He looks, in terms of passing ability, I think he's got the best passing range in that midfield too. It's the other areas of his game that I think we're like, what's that smirk for? It's the other areas of his game that I think we've had an issue with, right?
Yeah, wait for the screen grabs. There's some like I thought Loser was okay. But yeah, I thought there was some key moments where he had real opportunity to create some good chances. And yeah, I thought he was a lot better against Oxford than he was against Plymouth. I don't think he was necessarily bad. I thought earlier on in the game, it looked like he was getting on the ball. And that's what we want, really, don't we? We want that six, getting it off the defence, dictating play. And I do think that's Loser's strength. I just think for a player of his quality, there's some key moments against Plymouth, which he should have done better, which I'll show in a bit. But yeah, for me, I think Sissoko and Tom Dele Bashiru are our strongest.
I think just lastly on this, there was a nice comment from Ben who said the midfield two, or here we go. I like to see Tom Dele Bashiru and Loser play to see if they complement each other. Would be our best technical pairing in terms of attributes. Anyway, we're into half time at 2-1. Harry, Charlie mentioned that it was a Valérien Ismaël type of performance in the second half. Do you agree with that? And what maybe did we do differently from the first half to the second half? Because it was a different type of Watford performance.
Yeah. I mean, no disrespect to Plymouth, but I came in at sort of half-time saying if we don't win this, then that's going to feel like a loss, like even if we draw that, because I thought they were very poor. I thought we were much stronger, and I think we just had to take advantage of that. And I thought especially if they were going to come out like that in the second half, it was it was a bit lackluster, I would say. Yeah, I mean, we had sort of similar counter spells, I guess, in that second half, but I feel like, I don't know. I feel there was times where I think that Georgie had a really good chance. I think he was in the box, and that does frustrate me about him. So I think he does need to pull the trigger a little bit more. He had a really good chance there. Bio had a really good chance as well. But I don't think, apart from that, I don't feel like there was too many other clear-cut chances. I think that's kind of what I feel like we had control of that second half, but just we didn't create as much, which was frustrating. I felt like we should have put a lot more players forward, given it a bit more of a go, just to try and see that game out and finish Plymouth off, really.
Cleverly emphasised, Charlie, that his frustration wasn't with the goals we conceded, but was the fact that we didn't kill the game in the second half. Charlie mentions there in terms of clear-cut opportunities. Just on the top of my head, I can think of that Bio one that I've mentioned 3 times now. Chakfadatsy, who got into the 18-yard box, went on a nice run. Probably should have. His first touch was poor. Could have got it out his feet, but then went back around and then it tipped over the bar. But we had a lot of the. Well, it felt like we were dominant in the second half, or dominance a stretch. But we were in control of the second half. We didn't really capitalise on us being in control of the game, which was frustrating, really.
Yeah, I felt like we were in control, but the way the game was going, we were really out of control. Do you know what I mean? And it's funny. Yeah. I used part of my Andre Gray winnings to put another bet on Plymouth double chance, which is to win or to draw, because you could just see how the game was panning out. And I don't know if this is kind of something that Cleverly wanted the team to do, but it felt like it was like, we're in the lead, we're a lot better team. Let's just show some maturity and ease the game out and just be solid instead of playing our game. And I think we've just thought about it too much. And I still thought they were awful. They didn't create a lot. Like I think someone said in the comments, it was our lowest XG against this season. So they didn't trouble us, but obviously Andre Gray is going to Andre Gray. And then we lose 2 points, which I think was criminal, really, because the game was there to be had. So, yeah, do you think it was something Clevs would have said, or do you think the players would have been like, we're away from home, we know what our away record's like? We didn't see any of that at Sheffield Wednesday, did we? The minute we took the lead, we didn't stop, although maybe Sheffield Wednesday were a bit poorer, but I thought Plymouth were pretty awful as well. So that's why I was really frustrated.
Yeah, it was quite a weird one. I came away from it just scratching my head how we didn't win, but also did we do enough to win in the second half? And then probably my biggest takeaway would be we just weren't clinical. We weren't ruthless. You know, we did have a couple of opportunities where we should have killed the game. We had a couple of opportunities in the first half where we should have done more as well. I think that was pretty much what it came down to. I thought Watford played well, really. When you come away from it, you're like, Watford's performance is pretty good, but you have to be clinical. Otherwise, as we said, with Plymouth's record, particularly in the final stages of games, they have a habit of picking up late goals, which they did. Charlie, before we touch on that Andre Gray goal, and I'm going to get Harry's take on it, especially on Bachmann as well, because I know that's been splitting opinion. I wanted to ask you, as the title says, the real reason Watford didn't beat Plymouth, before we touch on that goal separately, because I feel like that might be the question that a lot of Watford fans are scratching their heads over the weekend, thinking, how did we not manage to see that game out? What was the real reason Watford didn't beat Plymouth, in your opinion?
Well, to be honest, we've alluded to it, but I just wanted to highlight, and when I listened to Cleverly's interview, I was really interested to see what he said, and I didn't know if he was going to go shambolic defending for Gray goal, but he didn't. He said, we didn't take our chances, we weren't ruthless, and I just want to highlight how many big opportunities that we had in the game that just makes it sickening that we didn't finish it. This was one in the first half, bar, just a simple ball in there for Musa. Should be doing better. The pass wasn't as good as it should be. Again, this one was the one that probably killed me the most. Really nice ball over the top from James Morris. I know he's Harry's favourite. And then this chance here, we saw Larousse had a great assist, but he gets to the byline and he just plays the wrong ball. For me, Bar's coming in on a left foot here, and I just think the ball should have been to Bio coming in. And you've even got Andrews coming in as well. Look where Bar touches it, but look at that space that Bio's got to. So I think that decision-making from Larousse, this was an Andre Gray goal that we don't want to touch upon. This was the second highest XG chance from Porto before his goal. He's in the middle of the goal. he gets a decent contact. I know he's a defender. It's harsh. I know it's kind of under his feet, but it's another golden opportunity. Georgie, there's been a lot of talk about him, and I think this one as well. Just you think of a player of his quality, he should be able to take a really good first touch there and get a decent shot. I think he ends up kind of dragging it this way, and he has to kind of come back. Frustrating. I won't go through the moves, but we've done quite a lot of kind of moves. They didn't really press Pollock, and he played balls inside, which we bounced, and they came back. We've done that with Bio, and this is what I was talking about. Imran Loser. This was the first one. Bio does a really nice bounce pass, and a player of Imran Loser, I think that ball to Sissoko is on, and it should be a really good chance. The keeper gets there before Sissoko. Again, really similar move. Pollock out the back. Sissoko rotates it. Ryan Andrews, good ball in. I know I'm speaking quickly, but I want to get through all the chances. Bio, who I thought was really, really good hold-up play. I thought that's one of the best he did, holding up and knocking it on. He flicks it around the corner to Loser. And again, a player of Loser's quality, this ball, for me, should be really simple. Against Barr, who is going to beat it for pace. And again, the ball's just not good enough and the defender gets there. Again, Bio with some really good hold-up play. This is that Sissoko run. And I think this is the frustrating thing with Bio. He gets his first goal. Sissoko's put him in space here. And I think if you look at it, the way he takes the ball here, he's taking it with his right foot, and that should give him a chance to hit it with his right foot, either right to the keeper or kind of turn it in. The touch isn't good, and this is where he hits his contact. The keeper's done well to kind of block it, but at that moment, that's the real big chance there. So that was a kind of killer. And then, that was my frustration. It wasn't that us really bad defending. It was we didn't take our chances. And there I showed 6 or 7 really, really big chances. Am I being fair or am I being a bit too harsh? And was there a chance there which you think are more glaring than the other, Jacob?
No, I think you're spot on. I completely forgot about that Porteous one. He's got to take it with his left foot. And I know that's harsh because he did score and he's a centre-back. But I think in that position, I know there's bodies there, but he's got to take that with his left. And you've got the whole side. Well, I know there's bodies, but hit the target and more likely than not, it's going to go in. The two big ones for me, Charlie, completely agree about Loser. His passing ability that I believe he has to be playing those balls in. I'm more frustrated, though, with the ones where we are absolutely in the opportunity, i.e. that Chakfadadze one, the loose touch, and the Bio counter-attack. They're two glaring opportunities that you either got to be getting... that one he should score. The touch was poor, but also Chakfadadze's touch has to be better. And Watford weren't clinical, and they only have themselves to blame that we didn't come away with all 3 points because defensively, I thought we were really good. I mean, we've limited them to 2 opportunities where Gray's right on the edge of the 8 or on the right side of the 18-yard box, and on the edge for the goal at the end. You know, I thought Pollock was immense at the back again, won everything in the air. Morris was good, Porto looked good, as Harry alluded to. Larousse going forward, Andrews had a solid game, but unfortunately, you got to take your chances. Harry, anything to add on that before we touch on the equaliser at the end?
I'm not sure about you lads, but I think that scoring goals when we are on the counter is something I don't think we've sort of capitalised on as much this season. I think if you want to score goals in this league and you want to get results, then you have to have players that can put chances like that away. So it's been frustrating that we haven't done that a lot this season. So yeah, I think you're right. I think we looked at the last goal. We know that Gray had a lot of space in there, but I think you look at before that, it was difficult for Andrews to sort of shift over in time. He did have other men he was marking as well. But I think you're right. I think that sort of sums up. We just didn't take our chances, and it did hurt us in the end. It did hurt us big time.
Charlie, do you want to get that screenshot up of the Gray goal? You don't want to. You're gonna have to. There was the Andre Gray second goal. It's a last minute. It's literally the last kick of the game, isn't it? Really. A lot of takes I've seen in this, Harry, on who's to blame for it.
Yeah.
What I will say, it's a great strike
Yeah.
from Gray. He did hit it cleanly. My issue, Harry, really with this one isn't actually the action itself. It's the bit leading up to the goal. I felt our management of the situation was really poor. I think Kiembe had a chance to clear it.
Yeah.
We were really sloppy in the way we just kept the ball and didn't, progressed up the pitch. Sometimes just get it gone. I know it's very simple, but at this point of the game, get it gone, get it away from the danger area. But the ball kept coming back. And the more it does that, Harry, the more likely these sort of opportunities arise. Yeah. So do you have more of an issue with the action in particular, or the bit, that kind of 5 minutes leading up to it?
I think, I think the shape isn't too much of a problem. I think maybe if you go back to maybe like 10 seconds before this, Ince is down here with Bio ball watching. It's like, can he come back and help Andrews out here? Because we've got 5 seconds left of this game. Yeah, you've got nothing to lose if one player just comes back and helps Andrews here. Because I think about 10 seconds before, Andrews, or I think it was Porteous here, had 2 men. So one of them was going to be free because they were being outnumbered. So it's a case of, could we have had a couple more, just one more player back just to help out here. But I think overall the shape wasn't too bad. And like you say, look, this is a great goal. It is, like, from there, I didn't realise how far out it actually was. Now looking at this, so I've been trying to avoid the highlights, right? But it is a great goal. But I think, there could have been a bit more we could have done to prevent it, and whether that's bringing a couple more men behind the ball, I'm not sure. But
just on that 5 minutes that Harry mentioned there, Charlie, Clev's made a couple of late substitutions. He brought on Sierralta, Sema, Ince, all in the last 5 minutes. A couple of people mentioned that tweaking the back line at that point in the game, when you're a little bit under the cosh, is a bit of a risky move. Do you read anything into that? For example, Morris was a part of the back three. He took him off to bring on Sierralta to give us more strength in the box with aerial duels and those sort of things.
Yeah, I do think
take on that.
Yeah, I think it's important to reiterate we are literally now like analysing this to the very depth, and I do think we should just like say, look, Andre Gray's scored 2 worldies because it's Andre Gray and it's against Watford. But saying that, I did think Sierralta was a bit too passive, like when it was dropping around him and he was kind of laying off. Kiembe, absolutely poor pass, which led to the throw-in. But I'm not too sure about the subs. When I looked at the goal and when I looked at this screen grab, and like I didn't really want to talk about this, but should Dan Backman be doing better with this chance? And I've looked back a couple of times, and it's really hard to see because there isn't like an angle from like the dugout behind the shot or behind the goal. What did you guys think? Because we have actually asked like a goalkeeping expert to get their take on it, which I'll bring up in a bit. But Jacob?
I think if I'm being super critical, I think Andrew should be a little bit tighter.
I didn't ask that.
No, I'm just looking at the image now. You have deflected like a politician. I think Andrew should be slightly tighter on the goal. Again, we are overdoing this because it was the last minute. But it's a great strike. I personally think Backman, on first glance, should be probably 3 or 4 steps to his left. Now, I don't know whether he's trying to get a sight of the ball, because if you look at Andrews and Porteous is probably blocking his sight there. But actually, he'd probably have a better view of it if he was slightly to the left anyway. Because even, let's just say Gray wasn't trying to shoot there. He was trying to cross it in or clip it in. Backman would be out of position. So actually, either way, he's out of position, in my opinion. He is unsighted, but if he actually put himself slightly to the left there, I think he'd probably have a better view in it. What did the experts say, Charlie? Because I don't know. My opinion means absolutely zero in this conversation.
Let me get up what the expert said, because I don't want people to just think that we were like making stuff up.
Harry, did you think he should have been slightly over?
I think there should have been at least, same with the first goal, at least some effort to save it, right? Because I feel like, I can't remember the stats. Was it 2 shots on target for Plymouth? Was it for that other game? Was it a bit more?
Yeah.
I think he should have made at least some effort to save it, right? But yeah, I mean, it's, like I say, it's a good goal, but I think I would just like to see more effort to save it, I think.
Three shots on target in total for Plymouth in the end, 10 shots overall. Watford had 12, 5 shots on target. Charlie, apparently Ben says Batman got minus 0.72 for the goalkeeping XG stat. Rio says it took Andre Gray 6.41 XG until March, till he scored 2 goals for us in his final season. He scored 2 on Friday night with a 0.14 XG, which is absolutely incredible and one of the most horrible stats of all time. Charlie, the expert, had his say on it.
Yeah. Just simply asked. Didn't even really just asked him. Just give us some thoughts on the Andre Gray's second goal from like a goalkeeper's perspective. He said, "Great question, and it is an interesting one. Watched it a few times from a few different angles. This shot would have been tough to get to, but still possible. In my opinion, the positioning could have been a bit better, but Daniel was adjusting. What's most interesting is it looks like he got a bit glued to the ground between being ready for the shot and then making an active movement towards the shot. There were mistakes, but I think Daniel would have had to be close to perfect on that shot. And to be honest, I think that's really fair. And I think we might be overanalyzing it, but it's just a Sickner and who it is. And I think that's just a fair assessment. And it's good to get like an external voice on it. And look, maybe if we did have Allison or Edison, they would have got to it. But I don't think it's something that we should be too critical of, to be honest. But it is what it is, and we move on. What do you guys think of that take?
No, I think it's a totally fair take. I still think he should have been slightly over. But I think when you take yourself out of it, Harry, and I know a lot of fans' heads had gone on Friday night, and don't kill me for this in the comment section. Well, you can if you want to. When you take yourself out of it, and let's just forget about how we drew the game, is a point as bad a result as maybe it felt on Friday night? Or was it actually the manner of it that made it feel worse, if that makes sense?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think some people would have, I mean, I personally wasn't, but I think some people probably would have taken a point on Friday before the game, right? But then you look at how it panned out, there's no way. I think that's probably why it is hurting. And not just Gray scoring twice. I think it was genuinely just how we didn't win the game is what has hurt, and how we've not come away with 3 points. But yeah, I think it's, I personally would have taken a draw before the game, but I know some people would, and fair enough, because I think that might have been a fair result, a decent result to get a point out on a Friday night. But yeah, I think after that it's got hurt that we haven't won that.
Yeah, for sure. If you wanted to check out Sam's instant reaction, he wasn't particularly happy after that result. He was watching it in sunny Australia. He actually did send us a voice note just very, very quickly on a few things that he missed out from his video. So here he is, and let us know what you think.
Hi guys, hope you are all good and calm down after that frustrating end to the game on Friday night. I certainly have, which is why I know I did my instant match reaction, but I just wanted to send in almost my thoughts a day on from the game as well, because reflecting on it, I don't think I necessarily got this through well enough on the instant match reaction because I was quite annoyed at the late goal. I actually think that was one of Watford's best performances this season, and obviously we had that massive away win away at Sheffield Wednesday. I think you could argue that was Sheffield Wednesday being really, really poor. We've had some really, really good home wins as well. People point to that second half against Stoke, and periods of the Millwall game on the opening day as well. But I just feel that on the whole, that was the first time away from home I've seen us for almost a sustained period of time taking the game to the opposition. And yes, a bit like Sheffield Wednesday, you could say Plymouth were quite poor. I know a lot of their fans thought they got quite lucky to get a point and they were unhappy with the performance on the whole. But I just thought the physicality that Watford showed, we imposed ourselves on the game. We really tried to put a stamp on it. And ultimately, it's something that we've said quite a few times away from home this season. We just weren't clinical enough at all. We didn't take our chances, and that's why we're in the position that we're in. I do genuinely believe that if Andre Gray didn't turn into prime R9 in the last minute of the game, we could turn around and say that was probably Watford's best performance of the season. So, yeah, other than those 2 free moments, I think there's plenty of positives to take from that. Replicate those 2 performances against Bristol City and QPR, 2 really tough games. I know QPR is struggling down at the bottom. Bristol City lost yesterday, but no easy games at all in this league, and it could be potential bananas against Watford. But perform like how we did on the whole, and we're a bit more clinical, I think we'll be completely fine across those 2 games. And yeah, I hope you're all wearing flat caps, and good to see Welch back on the channel as well. Cheers, guys.
What a man. Sam,
he sounds like he's in a rush.
Yeah, he's having so much a good time out in Australia, isn't he?
I did have it at one point, 5 speeds, just for everyone who's listening to that as well. someone said he's picked up a slight Aussie accent. I didn't hear it. Any of you, any of you lads have. Just on what Sam said there, though, Charlie, when you actually take a step back and you take the emotion out of it, Watford played really well, I thought, on Friday night. Yes, in the context of a team that I think we should be playing well against. You know, Plymouth have done pretty well at the start under Wayne Rooney in the context that their aim is to stay up this season. It's not the easiest of places to go, especially with our away form. I was quite happy with the performance overall. And I know a couple of other people, if we just put a few tweets up here, some other people who were just neutrals watching Watford. There was one here from James that said, that game tonight only further validates the job Tom Cleverley is doing. How this Watford squad has been pieced together is mind-boggling. Defensively, they're naive and unaware. Going forward, they're unreliable. Finishes no midfield pairing that complement each other. I didn't actually read that before we put it on there, but that was one of them that came out. That was quite an interesting take. There was also another one, which I wanted to point out from, who was it? Was it Callum? And this is the one that I think I've just got mixed up with. Admittedly, I think it's the first time I've watched Watford since their game against us in September. And my word, Tom Cleverley ball has been an absolute joy to watch in this half. Feels like years since I last saw Watford this good. So two different perspectives there, Charlie. Which one do you stand more on?
Well, they both got a pro Tom Cleverley sentiment in saying how much he's getting out of the squad, and that kind of leads me on, because both of those tweets that we mentioned are like from external fans, of just people who were watching the game, so that's why they were kind of really interesting. The first one was just saying kind of the fact that the personnel that we've got, our defensive setup, how we're doing so well. Tom Cleverley deserves credit. And yeah, the second one kind of echoing the same thing, how much we've improved. And yeah, to go back to your first questions about was it a good performance, I thought it was a good first half. I didn't think it was a good second half. I don't think it was one of our better performances. I just think Plymouth weren't great. And I think everyone's going into the Plymouth game looking at their home record. They've only lost once there at home, but in my opinion, they weren't good. And yeah, just interesting to get those kind of an outsider's take there, what those guys think. And again, it just goes towards looking at what a great job Cleverley's doing, and going back to kind of the screen grabs that I show. Imagine if we just had that extra bit of quality in those areas. Where could we be?
Where could we be? Up next, Harry, is Bristol City on Tuesday night. The games, it's a 3-game week for Watford, starting on Friday night at Plymouth, Bristol City, and then QPR at the weekend as well. I mean, I asked Charlie the question last week about what would be a good return for Watford, and I said, I think 5 points or 6 points would be quite a good return for Watford. Now, I think 6 points is off the cards if my maths tells me correct. So it's either going to be 5. It can be 5, which I think we will get. What would you think would be a good return at the next 2? So 1 point against Plymouth, and then what would you expect against Bristol City and then QPR?
Well, I think Bristol City is certainly the bigger test out of them. I know our home form has been great, but I can see it ending to a team like Bristol City. I know we've beat, obviously, Sunderland, Borough, all these teams at home, but Bristol City is a very tough team to play. They've got a good manager and got a good squad as well. I think they're having a quite good season, aren't they? I know they lost to Burnley yesterday, didn't they? But I think that would be a good return, 100%. I'd expect us to beat QPR again, like I expect us to beat Plymouth. But I know I've said it. Don't shake your head, Charlie. I know I jinxed it.
Harry, Charlie's, when Watford play QPR, it's like El Clasico for him.
El Crapico.
El Sacchio. But so out of those 3, Harry, how many points would you like? 1 for Plymouth and the next 2.
It would be 7, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'd like 7. I think we can beat Bristol City. And I do think we can beat Bristol City because of our home form, and I do think we can beat QPR as well.
Ooh, punchy. What I did see the stat from us, or from Charlie. I do like Dave's comment, which is the kiss of death for Tuesday night against Bristol City. Watford are now the only team in English top 4 tiers to be unbeaten at home since Tom Cleverley took over in March after Manchester City lost 4-0 at home to Spurs. Charlie, how are you feeling going into Tuesday?
Nervous. Bristol City are a good team. I know they lost to Burnley, but their away record's good. Yeah, I would just take a draw. I know that sounds quite defeatist. I just think we're on the good run. We've got to keep it going. So yeah, I would much rather obviously, maybe we're still a bit hurt from the recent years and we should be a bit bullish. But yeah, I think if we can draw against Bristol City and win on Saturday, that'd be a very very good week. Again, I don't think it's the end of the world if we don't manage to win if we lose on Tuesday and beat QPR. But what we cannot do is lose to QPR on Saturday.
The big one. Luan says Bristol City have the potential to take us to the cleaners. Charlotte says, remember what Bristol City did to us at home on Boxing Day last year? I took my little cousin to his first ever football match, and I'll tell you what, if he comes back after he hasn't actually been back since that game, so that's probably saying a lot. I finished Bristol City 4-1, if I remember correctly. Hope it's a different outcome this time. Orchester says Bristol City is 3-2-2 and 11-11 away so far this season. A dangerous game for us. A really tough one coming up, as Ben says. I think Bristol City's a really tough fixture up next. I think our beaten home record is in jeopardy here. They've won at Norwich, Preston and Borough and are a great counter-attacking team. Harry, just to wrap up, from that team against Plymouth, any changes you would make from that team? And if not, could you see Cleverley making any?
Yeah, I mean, Festi, I think needs to come back in. Obviously, I think he was suspended, so get him back in for Andrews. I think that's the one I would definitely make. I think, apart from that, I don't think I would change anything else. I think, do you know what? I think the reason why I'm kind of confident about Tuesday, I think because I think the players do want to react. I do think they want to, obviously they learned, it was obviously really hurtful not getting the points. And I think there needs to be a big reaction on Tuesday. So as tough as it's going to be, I think it's a good opportunity to play Bristol City. But I wouldn't make, apart from that, I wouldn't make a change. I think just bringing back in, Festi would be.
Festi.
I'm not sure if you guys agree with that, but yeah.
I think we've got to manage the wing-backs minutes because just the load on, particularly in their role in this team, it's going to have to happen. Even like, I know I keep banging the drum, but the fact that Andrews at Sheffield Wednesday was out the squad, Tuesday was on the bench, and then come the Saturday he was starting, I think that's probably going to be a similar case this week. Charlie, Ebisele, Sierraut has been mentioned, Duomo to come in. Any of those that take your fancy?
Yeah, I think Duomo could be a good shout. We've talked about Sissoko, his age, if we want Sissoko back for Saturday. Give Vata a start. I don't think Barr had his best game against Plymouth. I actually thought their left centre-back, I think Gibson, handled him really, really well. I thought his decision-making wasn't great. I know we talk about Ebisele, but I thought Andrews was good again against Plymouth. Like, he created that chance for Georgie, so it'd be tough on him to lose it. But, yeah, we're going to have to rotate. So, look, I think we need to take a step back. All good options that we've got. We're in good form when we're talking about trying to cling on to a 13-game home unbeaten run. So, yeah, maybe we should be a bit more positive. Maybe Clev should hang this video up on the dressing room wall to say about our attitudes towards Bristol City. But, yeah, I think one change that would bring some energy into this team, maybe give Vata a start from the off for Barr, and then with Barr coming on.
Yeah, agreed. I thought it was a really quiet game from Barr, actually. Probably the most disappointing I've seen from him so far. Just didn't have the same impact that he normally does. I thought Andrews was solid, and to be honest, that recovery he made in the first half when LaRusia, I don't know what he was thinking. There was like a mix-up between the two. And what I really enjoyed was, I don't know if you lads saw, but when we were on the counter-attack, Andrews was turning around to him like, mate, what are you doing? The attack's going on. But he did really, really well there. And yeah, I think Matty Pollock was my man of the match again. I mean, it's getting to the point now, it's inevitable when the ball goes in the air that he's going to win it. And I honestly, him at the back has just been a revelation. The redemption arc of Matty Pollock has been a joy to watch. And also, well mentioned by Charlotte, Clevs is back on the touchline for Tuesday. That was a weird dynamic, wasn't it? The fact that he wasn't there, Harry. I don't know. Are you someone that reads into anything of that? Because I think from what I was gathering on the TV, he had the analyst next to him, and he was sending a message through the analyst to the bench, and Damon, Lathrop, and Robbo were in comms.
Yeah, I didn't see who was in the dugout, to be honest. Because I've not watched it back. But yeah, it reminds me of when Steve McLaren was at Derby. So that always used to work. He used to be up in the It was sound on the old phone ringing down. But yeah, I mean, it should be. I mean, I don't think it had an impact on the game, to be honest with you. I don't think it would have. I did think did it have an impact in maybe like any defending for the last goal, but I don't think so. But it'd be good to have him back. I think it would be definitely. I think definitely having him on the side would be good.
Harry's lights have gone out, which means it's time to wrap up this stream. There was just a couple of bits of housekeeping just to wrap up. We're going to be back at the Mad Squirrel for a post-match pint on Saturday versus QPR. So if you do fancy joining us for a pint or two, then feel free to join us. It'll be a pleasure to see you there. We had quite a few people on the last one, which was great. Exclusive offer for WD18 on Saturday as well. 15% off food from 5 p.m. So come after the game, after hopefully a win against QPR, join us for a pint and join us for some food as well. 15% off all food there. And you can get the link in the description below or pick up a card at the bar on Saturday to redeem your discount. Charlie, anything else you want to mention? Harry, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, mate. Thank you so much. I know it's been a busy few days for you, traveling up and down the country, but yeah, absolute pleasure to have you on, mate. And I'm sure we'll see you on Tuesday.
See you on Tuesday, mate. Yeah, I'll be there.
Top man.
You there on Saturday, Harry?
There Saturday. I was tempted by the Wealdstone Wickham game, but
Get out.
Do you know what? It's just because that's at 11:30, but I thought I could make it. No, that'd be tight, wouldn't it? If it was at 3:00. Yeah, they moved it to 11:30. I know.
He loves those stones so much, Charlie.
Yeah.
Utter woke nonsense. 11:30 kickoff.
Utter Wealdstone. There we go. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Take care of yourselves. Hope you have a fantastic week. Look after yourselves. Leave a like on the video. Subscribe to WD18. Comment down below your thoughts. Follow Sam. Follow Harry, Charlie, and myself on Social Shadows, and Sam as well. Hopefully he's calmed down a little bit from that voice note. And we will see you in the next one. Have a great week, guys, and up the audience. You want.